we ended saying, hey, we need to give our list of the top 5 most iconic Daytona 500s. So let's get into that. You were first up this week. So go in with your top 5 most iconic Daytona 500s, number 5 to number 1.
All right, get my list here. Number 5, 1993, The Dale and Dale Show, with Ned Jarrett in the booth cheering on Dale Jarrett for the win over Dale Earnhardt. Yeah, being a Dale Earnhardt fan, that kind of sucked, but it was actually really cool seeing Ned Jarrett and how professional he was. It's great to be happy for your kid, and you can get caught in the moment, but it was very excited and just kind of and the whole broadcast just kind of stopped and just let him talk and go through. That was really a cool thing to see. Number 4, February 22nd, 1959. I wasn't around for this one, but it was 2 feet. Lee Petty defeats Johnny Beauchamp, and I believe, I'm not 100% sure on this, but I believe it was the first ever photo finish for NASCAR where they had to wait till the picture got developed to see who actually won the race. So that one definitely, I would think, makes it iconic.
Oh, yeah.
Number 3 was 1979, the first live televised Daytona 500. Came down last lap with Yarborough and I believe it was Bobby Allison battling for the lead. They banged and got together and crashed. They got out, started fighting. Donnie Allison comes in, he starts fighting, and here comes Richard Petty, running third, half a lap behind, and wins his 6th Daytona 500. So number 2, 1998, Dale Earnhardt finally wins the Daytona 500. I remember that race. We were watching it, and Jeff Gordon was real fast, and it came down. There was a pit stop with not that many laps to go, and they all came in pit. I thought whoever comes out first in this thing is probably going to win this race. And when he beat the 24 out of pit road, I got all excited, and even your mom, she was big Jeff Gordon fan. She was even happy with that one. And number 1, unfortunately, it's probably the saddest day in motorsports. 2001, Dale's death. Michael Waltrip wins his first race ever, and Dale dies on the last corner, running third behind his 2 cars.
Yeah.
That was a tough day.
Yeah. And again, iconic for anybody wondering.
Yeah,
and
iconic doesn't necessarily mean happy.
Yeah, and we wanted to clarify that, and I think we both kind of alluded to it last week. We're saying, iconic doesn't necessarily mean the best ones. It's just
just memorable.
And that will forever be remembered. It doesn't matter what era of NASCAR you grew up in. You could have been born after Dale's death, specifically about 8 months after Dale's death, roughly, and your middle name's named after him too, and you're still going to remember that. So shout out to Michael. All right, well, that top 5, you'll see a couple similarities, and you'll see kind of a trend with mine. Mine are the ones I really, really remember. Minus 2. So number 5 is the fight, 1979 Daytona 500. First televised one. And Richard Petty comes out of nowhere, half a lap down, past those 2 after they're fighting. Yeah. They both will argue back and forth whether if they were fighting or not, because the other said, the other would be on the ground if we were truly fighting and stuff, and they've been knocked out and all that stuff. But so that's definitely one of the most iconic. And no matter who makes the list, that's got to make a top 5 list.
That put NASCAR on the map.
And I actually did a research paper on that, and it shows you how much of a damn redneck I am. And I was like, let me do a NASCAR race as a research paper. And I think this was like in 5th or 6th grade or something. And I dove deep into it, went through all the sources I could find. I think that's when we just started using like the computers at school and everything. So that was pretty interesting to learn about all that. But that's number 5 of mine. Number 4. The 2004 Daytona 500, Dale Earnhardt Jr.'s first Daytona 500, and that iconic paint scheme with Budweiser. I think it was their 25th anniversary or something in NASCAR. It was some specific, or it was an All-Star game, something like that. It was their specific alternate paint scheme that they had. It was white and red, awesome looking car. I'll never forget that one because obviously after Dale's death, we went right into being Dale Earnhardt Jr. fans, and I remember like that was yesterday. 2004 was a pretty good year because the Eagles ended up going to the Super Bowl after that season as well, so it was a pretty good year for our sports teams. But yeah, number 4 is Dale Jr.'s first Daytona 500. Number 3, Dale's second Daytona 500, 10 years later. This one is iconic to me because, first of all, this is his first major win with Hendrick Motorsports, and I think it was the year before or 2 years before, he got his first ever. He won the shootout in Hendrick, and I was like, oh yeah, that doesn't even amplify that by like 1,000. Is how excited I was when Junior won that thing. I might have had a couple many beers in me, but that was an amazing, iconic race for me. I remember that. I was in college, had it on the projector screen. I was running around the damn apartment complex.
Yeah, wasn't that a rain delay and was over real late or something like that?
I think it was, and I think we went through a period of Daytona 500s where there were a bunch of rain delays. Some of them ended early, some of them ended late at night. It doesn't matter because the alcohol hit more and more. So, yeah, so Dale Jr.'s second Daytona 500. That's my number 3 for my iconic. Number 2, our number 2 and number 1 are exactly the same. So number 2, obviously, Dale Earnhardt's first ever only Daytona 500 win. 20 years, and we talked about this, alluded to. We might do some conspiracy stuff later on in the season because you get 20 years to happen to get Dale's win. But, it's not for me to say because that was awesome. And he lines up, and everybody on pit road high-fives him, and because you try for 2 decades and as well respected as he was in the entire garage. It was absolutely incredible. He led literally every single lap there is to lead in Daytona 500, except the last one. And he finally got it done in 1998. And, of course, obviously 2001, Dale's death. And I definitely remember it, and I was only 9, no, I was 7. And I still remember. I remember it flashing on the ESPN TV downstairs in the basement at our house on Solar Drive. And I didn't really understand exactly what was going on because, I mean, what 7-year-old does. But I remember seeing the graphics, and I remember seeing, like, Dale Earnhardt has died or something like that. I don't even know if I actually watched the actual race when it happened. Now I obviously see all the highlights and all the replays they have of it. But, yeah, so, yeah. Obviously, I don't think you can really change the top 2 for anybody's most iconic Daytona 500s. There will never be anything that will be more iconic than obviously Dale's death and Dale's win. I don't think there will be.
Right.
That's the most popular driver back then. I don't care what the statistics say, but he was the most popular driver back then. Yeah. So
just because you didn't like him did not make him less popular.
Yeah.
Gotta take the good and the bad,
So, not to end on a somber note like that, because we're trying to have fun here. Everybody, let's have fun. The Daytona 500 right around the corner, guys. So, next week, this is the top 5, and I thought this would actually be a really interesting top 5, especially what you come up with. But, in our opinion, the top 5 best NASCAR announcers of all time.
Okay, that's cool.
There you go. You got it wrote down everything. I actually wrote my list. So I'm curious to see what you think. And, yeah, I got some old timers already in my list. I'm excited to share that next week. So, yeah, if you guys want to let us know in the comments your top 5 NASCAR announcers of all time. There's a lot of very iconic voices that you will hear in the booth.
There's some that are current now that are not going to be on the list. I can tell you that right now.
Probably not going to really have anybody current now. Maybe one, but yeah, I think.